Jonesy and Amanda.
Jam Nation.
£10 Poms was the colloquial term for 1.5 million immigrants from the UK who paid £10 for their boat fare to Australia. They were promised a better house, better job prospects, better quality of life for only a tenner. But life down under wasn't exactly the idyllic dream they'd been promised. There's a new drama, a 6-part drama called £10 Poms. It starts streaming on Stan from Monday. Stephen Curry is one of the stars and joins us now. Stephen, hi.
Oh, Jonesy and Amanda, as I live and breathe, how are you?
Look at him.
Hey, we're very well. There were a lot of famous £10 Poms. John Paul Young, Colin Hay from Men at Work. Kylie Minogue's parents were £10 Poms, and they're on the same boat as the Gibbs and Red Simons.
Whoa.
Mate, that's not... You haven't even mentioned Akadaka.
Oh.
Over in Elizabeth, there was a little boy called James Barnes.
Yeah.
My wife is Scottish. She constantly reminds me that without the £10 Poms, we wouldn't have a music industry.
She's probably right. Absolutely. So tell us about the notion, before we get to your drama. The £10 Poms faced a whole lot of stuff that they weren't expecting. They thought this would be a paradise, didn't they?
They did. They thought that everyone in Australia was going to look like, well, Jonesy and I. You know what I mean?
It's pretty white.
Tan and bronzed, chiseled Aussies. They were shown these posters of this kind of idyllic lifestyle, and in reality, they were kind of taken out here to basically live in internment camps and do all the jobs that no one else wanted to do.
Yeah. And so what role what character are you playing?
I'm JJ Walker, who's the Aussie guy who runs the camp, and he's a bit of a philanderer. And so I thought I might whack a big mustache on because, there's nothing philanderers love more than a nice, healthy mustache.
That's true. That's true.
But he's a bit put upon, unfortunately, JJ. He sort of comes across as this sort of devil-may-care guy who's looking to sleep with everyone's wife. But actually, his mother owns the camp, and he's been spending his entire life trying to come out from under her shadow. And later on in the series, we start seeing that, come to a head.
It is a time because I went down the YouTube rabbit hole and I watched They're a Weird Mob, and you just watch that show and you think, wow, it was such a time.
It really was, and I mean, you think about there were 2 million £10 Poms over the space of 10 years. So we pick up in 1956 when the influx is sort of in its last kind of few years. But you think about the population of Australia was 12 million at the time. So culturally, this was such a huge shift, and they became such a big part of the fabric of Australia, which they have continued to be up until today. And we're in not that dissimilar a situation now, where there's a lot of work that needs to be done by people, and most people in Australia don't want to do it. We need itinerant workers like we did then, but it's certainly, it was the first time that a lot of these people had ever experienced anything like racism, because they kind of came out and were the outsiders in this situation. The Greeks and Italian community were already here in great numbers, and the Chinese community had come out for the gold rush, and so it was. It's certainly. I think this show really does manage to nail the mood of the time and the incredible challenges that face the £10 Poms.
I remember experiencing that as a kid because my dad was an airline pilot and we got shipped over to England when I was 4 years of age, and I had to go to school in England, and so everyone used to call me convict, and my accent, I used to try to tone down my Australian accent, and even the teacher would say, what are you speaking, boy? Speak the Queen's English.
Oh my God.
And so I was over there for a couple of years, came back to Australia, and everyone called me Pom because I sounded English.
Oh yeah, of course they did. You were stuck in the middle. While you were there, though, did you rob them?
Well, you know what happened? The teacher said on my first day in front of the class, they said, Jones here is from Australia. What do we know about from Australia? And someone said convicts and Rolf Harris. And then when I got back to Australia, they said, Brendan's just come back from England. What do we know about England? And they went, convicts, Rolf Harris.
Oh my God!
That was it.
A very different connotation now, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that was also where this batch of influx was also where we got the term whinging Pom, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, that's it. And then my character, JJ Walker, manages to coin that in his very first scene in this whole show, is he has a genuine distaste for these people who he sees as whinging Poms who come over from post-war Britain with its rationing and its terrible weather, and all they do is sit around complaining rather than going out and taking what's theirs. So, mind you, he's been a bit of a hypocrite because that's exactly what he wants to do. But, he's not a Pom, you see. So at least, at the very least, he's an Aussie with an Aussie hat and an Aussie moustache.
And you rock that so well. And like really on our screens, it's just Steve Curry everywhere. You're going to be on that blow-up show as well.
Yeah, same mustache, different vibe. One more show shooting at the same time. Yeah, so that's on 7, and that starts on Monday. So 10 Pound Poms on Sunday on Stan, and Blow Up on 7 on Monday.
Steve Curry. Straddling the networks.
Well, I hope you don't get your characters confused, because if your nasty character, JJ Walker, goes near the balloons as a prick, you know what might happen.
Yeah. Hey!
There it is.
And that, you know what, Amanda, I'm doing a few interviews today. That's my first balloon pun, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Boom.
And you've crossed shows too. That's good.
Always great to talk to you, Stephen. 10 Pound Poms starts streaming on Stan from Monday.
Well, did you say Sunday?
Sunday?
It's actually changed to Sunday now.
Moved to Sunday. Okay, is everyone on the same page?
Great.
Diarise that. We'll be watching you, mate. We have no choice. You're on everything.
Yeah, that's it. That was my plan, sort of slowly kind of coming into either world domination or just never having to do a real job. So I'm not quite sure which one.
Wall-to-wall
We're
curry.
happy for it, mate.
I've had that night in Bali.
The whole place will stink of curry.
Good on you, Steve. Rightio. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.